you're watching X-Men Omni with Justin and John. And their good friend, Hank. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Bobby, you're right. It's Tuesday. It's Omni X-Men night. We're going issue by issue through Chris Claremont's iconic X-Men books, and that means me, and that means this guy, No Good Comics. What's going on, Justin?
Yo, man, I love that Bobby video, man. Every time. Oh, yeah.
He's so pumped. I love it. It's like, yeah.
so cool, man.
Yeah, shout out Bobby DeLaGhetto for meeting Chris and getting us a second intro by the man himself.
Yes, we got to get more. I'm going to keep every time I see him now. I'm going to ask for a new one.
He's going to be like, I'm so sick of these guys.
Yeah, who are they? Yeah, maybe I'll be like, yeah, you're going to have to tune in. You're going to have to come on the show. Maybe that'll be the next step, right?
Yeah. So this is the Omni X-Men show. We are on Omnibus Volume 4. We've gone 4 seasons worth of Chris Claremont goodness. We are finishing it out. We got a few episodes left, a few goodies left to enjoy. And we are giving away a bunch of stuff here in June. So you got to make sure you stick around to the end each night. We're going to ask trivia. You're going to get on the wheel. And when June, I think it's, 11th? Something like that. June 11th comes around, we're going to be dropping goodies. So if you are entered to win, you can win some prizes. That's how this works. Justin starts drinking and giving stuff away. Stuff just becomes free. Everybody wins.
Pretty much.
So yeah, stick around to the end for that. But we got an awesome guest tonight. This gentleman is a huge X-Men fan. He's also watching the Knicks tonight. So be ready. If they lose, he might throw his books aside. He might crack some slabs. We don't know what's going to happen, but we got the one and only Knicks, Kicks, and Comics. What's up?
Ma. Yeah, I made it. I'm finally on. My John's Comics with Kicks and No Good Comics. Shh, put the TV on. Oh, sorry, guys.
Meatloaf. The Meatloaf Mom.
What up, Nick?
That's a good one. Hi, everybody.
What is going on, sir? How are things?
Things are fantastic. This is one of my favorite shows because in comicdom, Chris Claremont and that X-Men run is what got me into comics. Awesome. So between him and John Byrne's art, it's just
preach.
Yeah, I will always love that stuff. Always. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man, and thank you for making some time for us. And I know it's been hard because you at the end of the schedule, like you just keep getting updates. When's my episode? I feel like if I went back through our Instagram messages, it's just me telling you.
Little reminders.
Hey, bumped. Yeah, one more week out.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something that happens to pop up every now and again. Or I was mentioning it to John backstage. Is like, as adults, you make plans, and as you get closer to the plans, you're like, do I really want to go? Do I really want to do this? And this whole time, I've had none of that. So I've been looking very forward to that. So
sweet.
I'm
That's fantastic, man. And I love the 129 T-shirt, looking awesome there with the corner box art. So badass. That's fantastic.
Shout out to Justin Birch. He saw that he's had this T-shirt on. I had to ask him where he got it, and I needed to get it too.
There it is. So making some magic, that Justin Birch. Let's say hello to some friends we got in the chat because we got some tailgaters here, some folks hanging out early today. We got Las Cruces, of course, New Mexico, checking in early. What's going on, sir?
Always.
We got a first-time viewer to the channel, Mark. Thank you so much, Legion of Comics, coming by. He's been trolling. He's been trolling everything today, and he's hilarious. So thank you, Mark.
I'll try to keep the glare off my head. I'm sorry.
The sheen. We got Magic Lasso. He says, I only see one of the Spider-Man's amazing friends. Where are the OG X-Man himself? Where's Iceman? I'm not in this issue. But thank you for saying hi, Magic Lasso. I know he's a big Spider-Man and his amazing friends fan.
Okay.
What do we got there? There he is. There's the Omega level Iceman himself. We got DJ Links in the chat. He's been blowing up his YouTube channel. It's been absolutely exploding. Uh-oh.
No, it's not live show if I don't bring something valuable.
The 9-4 now. What is up, DJ Links? Good to see you, sir. I appreciate you, man. Hey, we got Jackson Roy Kirk himself. What is going on, my friend? Have we had 100 Omni X-Men? Yes, 100 issues. This is the 100th issue. Now, admittedly, we've actually done more than that because we're talking. We did all these annuals. We did all these tie-ins. We did the Wolverine Pride miniseries. We did Giant Size X-Men 1. So a lot of other books outside of just the 100 Uncanny issues. But yeah, it's an exciting anniversary issue we got going on.
Yep.
We got Cliff on comics. one of the best guys in this community. How you doing, Cliff? I hope your night's going well, sir. Another John in California. What's going on, John from Cali Comics? Good to see you.
Hey.
My homie from SoCal. What is going on, Adam? Good to see you, sir. Hope you're making stuff up. Ian, Strange Dog Comic Stuff. How you doing, Ian? Good to see you, sir. Kenneth Bird. I hope you are feeling well. I hope things are on the mend for you, sir. We got Jackson Kirk saying Claremont will be saying this show is still on. Yeah,
yeah.
He might be questioning our judgment. JB says I'm ready for 2 hours of One Piece discussions, not Omni X-Men, not X7 talk.
I got to study up on that. Then I don't know anything about One Piece.
Yeah, I'm still early on.
He and I this Thursday. He and I are gonna do a little chat.
Oh, really?
On some One Piece. So,
now we're talking. Now that makes sense.
I don't know if it's gonna be 2 hours. Maybe. I don't know.
True. If Justin were in charge, this would be a double-sized episode. There you go. Ready.
JP, you weren't around last week. We were wrapped up under the hour, man.
He was on time. He was keeping it tight ship there.
Yeah.
We got my man Joel the Geek. What's going on, Joel? Cosplayer extraordinaire.
Yeah.
We got Couching and Slouching with C Bizzle. What's going on, C Biz? Good to see you,
on
sir.
On the way to 400, C Bizzle is.
He is.
Nice.
What is up, Chet-Eye Knight saying, John, Justin, and Nick, and the chat, I need that 129 shirt with my 9.8 4 times signature copy of that book. He's out of control. Did he just drop a slab on the ground?
On the ground.
He's out. He walked.
You gave him a heart attack, Nick.
Let's see here. We got Mad Spidey Simon. What is going on? I think you need to go to bed. Isn't it bedtime for you?
Spotty. Go to bed, Mike.
Yeah, right. Let's see. I'm out to dinner. I'll watch this later. I appreciate you checking in, Adam, and Thanks, Adam. Enjoy the replay. So we've been kicking off the Omni X-Men this season with a little getting to know our guest, a little quick lightning round of quick questions with our man here. So, Nick, I'm going to kick it off with this question. Obviously, it's Nick's Kicks and Comics. Which mutant do you think would have the best shoe collection?
It would have to be Pietro, Quicksilver.
Great answer.
Yes. That is a great answer.
Because he would have to, he would go through them.
He's going to go through them. But that's not a collection, right? Like, who you think he also collects them? Do you think he also has like the Air Jordans and stuff? You think he's got like the ones he never wears that are?
I could see him taking care of them.
Yeah, and like using Ultra Boost for when he just wants to lounge around all day.
I love it.
I'm with it.
Okay, who is the best X-Men team leader?
I think we'll discuss Nightcrawler's role in that a little later on. But for me,
Excalibur, right? Yeah.
I think Storm has always been the one for me. She's got that powerful queen-like presence, and Cyclops never did it for me. Even though you guys are watching X-Men '97 nowadays, and everybody's touting Cyclops, just never got it for me. Just never got it for me.
Well, and we just got the news that Storm is going to be joining the Avengers now. So issue 17 of the current Avengers this summer, apparently Storm's joining the Avengers. Maybe she's becoming the leader of the Avengers. I don't know. Maybe that's going to be going down.
We'll see.
Let's see. Could the Avengers, I just got it in my head. Could the X-Men field a good basketball team without their powers? No superpowers. Could they make a good basketball team? We've seen them mess around.
yeah. When the jet is not popping up out of the court, I don't see them practicing much, and there's really not anybody tall aside from Peter.
Right.
Everybody else. I mean, Wolvie's what, 5'2"?
They keep calling him the midget, right?
Yeah. So no, I don't think so.
Not a good maybe a better baseball team or a hockey team, but yeah,
hockey team for sure.
There you go.
Let's see. Would you prefer to live in the Baxter Building or the X Mansion?
There's a lot of weird shit. Am I allowed to curse? I'm sorry. A lot of weird stuff going on in that X Mansion. So I'd have to say the Baxter Building. Baxter Building is Midtown Manhattan. You really can't go wrong in Midtown Manhattan.
I mean, you got a great view of the city, right? Because it's a great giant
spot.
High rise.
I mean, $25 cheeseburgers, but I mean, you're in the middle of the city, so
right. What's up, Bobby's in the chat, Bobby? I played your clip again tonight, my friend. I hope you're doing well, bud. Psych is easily the best leader. Haters, get this guy out of here.
Wow,
debatable.
Do you think Gambit has a lower back tattoo?
1000%. I've never thought about it. I see him wearing ripped jeans, like Ed Hardy hats.
He's always got the crop top, right?
Yeah, for sure. Tyler, you better get yours.
I'm saying he owes the community something.
Yeah. I never thought about that before.
That's what I'm
I don't think there's anybody who's ever, that's perfect.
Are redheads dangerous?
I've never dated one per se, but for sure, I would have to say.
Just in your experience in the world.
Yeah, I haven't had the luck or the fortune, but they always lull you with the false sense of security and the sweetness, and then that just turns the complete opposite side of the spectrum.
And that's when you meet the clone, and then you got their baby, and then all these other problems come along.
Madeline, Rachel, demons.
It's all wild.
I don't want all of it.
Unless you're into that,
Yeah.
Teach their own,
Right.
Not at 51. I'm not.
All right. Who is your second favorite X-Men artist? Most people do Byrne in the top there, and I know you're a big Byrne fan, so I thought I just would cut that one out and go with what's the number 2?
Is it sacrilege for me to say Joe Madureira?
I don't even know that I'm familiar with this one.
He's later in the 300s. He's done a comic series called Dark Stalkers also.
Oh, wow. I probably have seen his stuff, but not registered the name. That's not sacrilege at all. Now I'm going to go look for him.
Because Byrne for sure, but it's more of like I lend myself, as I look at my big Scotty wall, with the cartoonish aspect of it. I really like that. I would say John Romita Jr., but John Romita Jr. is my favorite Spider-Man artist.
Oh, okay.
Got it. What's up, Dale? Suspense?
Was he in or do you know how much of a run he was part of the artist that you mentioned?
Yeah, I'll look it up. I know it's in the 300s, 310 maybe.
Cool.
Yeah, I know I've read it. If it's that early in the 300s, then I've definitely read it because that was towards the end of my collecting of Uncanny, but I definitely read it.
Yeah, and you'll see that cover, like a couple of his covers, and you'll be like, oh, okay.
Cool. All right, so let me blow that up here.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
313, is that 312?
He's giving me some Silvestri vibes too.
Yeah. Silvestri's good too.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know you're a huge Scotty Young fan. You've recently completed that amazing Scotty wall. Those slabs look incredible. Absolutely. If you guys haven't checked out, obviously I got Nick's links all down below. You should definitely check it out. It is an epic. Yeah, let's get a look at that. Gorgeous. Nice. And I'm a big Scotty fan. Obviously, my girls are big Scotty fans as well. Yeah, that's just amazing. Really nice. That's just incredible.
Then my face. Ugh.
Yeah. If Scotty was going to do a solo X-Men series where he's doing the interior, the story, the whole thing, which character should he choose for that story?
Oh,
he's drawing them. He's doing the whole thing.
That's a good question. Can I?
Phone a friend.
I don't know why this issue number always escapes me, but the issue, I think it's Lockheed's first appearance where Kitty goes through and everybody's like a different kind of character.
Yeah, she's telling a dream. She's telling a bedtime story to Ileana.
I would love to see a modern take on that issue done by Scotty.
Fantastic.
You're really cool.
So like Kitty telling the story again, like another story. That's fun. That's fun.
Exactly.
I'm in.
Yeah.
All right. I got 2 left. Do you prefer your X-Men in outer space or on Earth? Because they get a lot of time in both. Do you have a preference? Is there one that you prefer?
Man, that blue area of the moon is my favorite story of all time. So I'd have to say in space.
I love all that Executioner song, fighting on the moon with Strife, all that good stuff.
The Brood, I love it. I mean, in on Earth, it's just like, oh, the humans hate us.
It's a little repetitive, All right, last question. Is Professor Xavier a jerk?
I mean, he's been that line has been screamed on the front page of how many issues, so he's got to be, right?
Right.
And again, in this issue, we'll actually see him dress like a real.
We will definitely get into his clothing choices here.
Certainly a different style. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate you, sir. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Again, the links for Nick are down below. I've even got his sales page on Instagram because he puts up some amazing books over there too. So you got to make sure you got both of his Instagram links besides the YouTube link. And of course, Justin's links are down there as well because we're going to be back on Justin's channel next week. I believe we're doing annual number 8 over there on Justin's channel. So you don't want to miss out. So follow us back and forth throughout the time here.
This is actually our last for this season. It's the last issue of the main run
of the main run. Yeah, Uncanny.
Yeah, we have a couple.
Because we got the annual, we got the 2-part Alpha Flight story, and then the Marvel Fanfare. Yeah, exactly. And C-Bizzle is agreeing with you. Yes, he's a super jerk. Super freak. Okay, let's get into the issue. This is the giant double-sized 100th issue of Uncanny X-Men, the Claremont run. Let's talk about this cover, Justin. A lot of things going on here. What were your thoughts when you saw this cover?
Yeah, like I know, as you said, there definitely is a lot going on, and normally I would say it's like a bit too noisy, but the detail that's involved with all this and just seeing who's going at who, I think it's a great cover overall. I really enjoy it. Even before reading this issue, this is certainly a book that I would, be curious about. I mean, the fact that their team is battling what looks to be like Thunderbird, and that alone is going to pull me in, along with just the epicness overall. But yeah, so this is definitely a book. I feel like even before I've read this has stood out to me as one of the later past John Byrne covers that I've appreciated. So
sure,
really like this. And I mean, even with the background being knocked out white, I mean it works. It didn't need anything else. I mean, there's the action is all you really need to focus on, and I do like that it's actually accurate to the inside of the story, as we talk about all the time. We do get a very similar scene of these two going at it here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I like that too.
And that's so rare, right? When the cover matches something that's going on inside.
It's been hit or miss. Yeah, I try to point it out when I can. If it's like some of them have been a lie or they're opposite of what really happens, and some have just nothing to do with it at all, which is can be random as well. So, but yeah,
Bobby's highlighting the girl of the moment here in this issue of FIRESTAR getting her first appearance and cover. So Nick, what about you? I know this issue has a lot of sentimentality for you as well.
Yeah, like I said, I was 11, just about turning 12 when this issue came out, and I was starting to get going on reading comics. And oddly enough, reading this, I've been trying to read the run again from 94 up. This is actually a semi-homage to issue 95.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and look at 95. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at 95, it's almost similar. It's different angles, but it's the same kind of fight scene where they're paired up against each other. And if maybe I can share it.
Actually, no, my box is right here. Let me grab it. But yeah, let us know what you think about the art on the cover. Yeah,
I mean, JR, I always, well, this is pretty early in his career, so the definition I'm used to is not here. I always do love the colors, but I always kind of wonder about fashion choices. And then I remember I was alive in the 80s. And it makes a lot of sense. I'm like, Sprite, what are you fighting in? Is that a mock turtleneck with like driving gloves? What's going on here?
You can't. Kitty's always changing it up.
Here,
let me. So this is 95 for those that don't remember.
Oh yeah,
the death of Proud Star Part 1, Johnny.
So you still have some robots in the background. You have
the white background too.
Right. You have a Proud Star uniform on the front fighting somebody.
And it's called War Hunt.
Yep. There you go.
That's fantastic. I would not have known. I've not noticed that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, Cliff says it's back when JR had some help. Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot, Cliff, right, about this season with JR and who is inking him and the impact that inker's work really has on shaping the final product.
Mm.
What's up, Candace? I don't know if I said hello to Candace. What's going on, Candace? Good to see you, friend. And did I miss anybody else? Make sure I got everybody. Oh, Frog Brawler. What's going on, Frog? Hope you're doing well, sir. He's been jumping on a lot of live streams lately. I've been feel like I've seen more and more of him. A fantastic community member. Great books. All right. Well, yeah, I totally agree with you guys. For me, the big thing that I love about this cover that works best for me is the color work. I feel like they did a great job of like Kitty Pryde there in the front in that blue kind of blends away. It doesn't distract. The white, like Justin mentioned, in the background, even the robots have a very simple hue so that the four, arguably four main characters that we're really getting pop. The colors on them just jump right out. So you got Rogue, Firestar, Wolverine, and James all kind of like jump to the forefront. Nightcrawler is harder to spot if you don't notice he's there, things like that. But for me, what makes this cover work for me is the color work. And that really gives us foreground, middle ground, background stuff.
And you still get a cool color vibe with the Bamf, that sure kind of highlights him.
Absolutely. We got trouble in the chat. Sheena is here. What is going on, Sheena? Good to see you, my friend. And Gary B, what is going on? I'm keeping it casual in our chat. I appreciate you, sir.
Boo, Gary.
Shout out to Inja and Sheena because they hit 200 subscribers and they're doing a giveaway. So if you don't know, you should get over there. I've got it in my community tab. You can find the video you need to check in on, but also on Instagram. Give the ladies a little love. All right, well, let's continue into the inside of the book, and we jump right into
What's up with the teabagging here? What's going on?
For me, it was my first reaction to seeing our man Banshee getting sort of sucker kicked, beat up, and then having this guy pretending to be his former teammate sort of standing over him. It feels like a very teabaggable moment for me.
The wide crotch shot.
Yeah. Very intense looking at up from down below. But what we have is on Muir Island, Sean's going for a jog. He's trying to keep fit in his retirement, even though he spends a lot of time in retirement. And he gets attacked by someone pretending to be his former teammate who died back in issue 95. And he gets basically, before he can even use his powers to defend himself, everything he throws at this individual doesn't seem to work, and he gets knocked unconscious and captured. So right off the bat, we get some interesting throwbacks to very beginning of Claremont's run. This costume looking very familiar. So Justin, what were your first reactions getting it right into the story like this?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously seeing the cover, I'm a little more prepared to, as far as what to expect, even though I still don't know the background or story. But to see James in this one, I love the pose. This splash page when you first kind of open it up, I guess technically not a full splash page, but the core bit there. Love his like the leg coming across, kind of knocking out Banshee, and yeah, I mean, to think about it, I mean, again, like you said, this goes back to, I mean, I remember when we talked about the original issue that you were just holding up earlier, and I can only imagine, like, I mean, I think they do a good job here of what Banshee's reaction is, and like, and feeling like he's literally seeing a ghost. I mean, this is someone he's known, had a really dark experience with and witnessed, and now seeing what looks to be John Proudstar initially would absolutely freaked me out as well. And and just be caught off guard. Like you said, he wasn't able to even use any powers or react in any way. We know that, Banshee's usually better than this in terms of combat, but I think just the initial shock of everything would definitely throw him off. And the crotch shot, that's the thing.
I couldn't resist some gift fun on that.
Yeah.
What's going on? TK is in the chat. What's going on, my man? And then we had Dracula. Where is Adrian? There is actual Dracula. What is going on, Drac? Good to see you, sir. You can. Where is it? Head Frog Brother. Teabag that like button for me on the way out, if you don't mind. I appreciate that.
That's right.
So Nick, here we get some nice throwbacks. Obviously, Banshee, the last one to kind of be right there at John Proudstar's death. Mm-hmm. Now being forced to have that kind of come back on him. What were your thoughts when this started off so abruptly?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, like I was 11 when this came out. So just to see Hokahei Like that was my battle cry whenever there were play fighting go on for I think for like 2 years after I read.
I love it.
So it was fantastic. Even though the cover kind of alluded to an action issue, this was a little too abrupt for me. I would have liked to seen, Proud Star kind of sneak up on Banshee a little bit and how he got the drop. Reading this now, I'm like, how good are Moira's defenses? Where somebody can just come on the island like this without anybody knowing.
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot like Gambit's back tattoo. I had no idea about the teabagging Proud Star shot.
It's my job. I'm just trying to take things to their logical end conclusion here.
There are avenues I didn't know I could cross, but now I'm on that side.
This issue only gets crazier. And
we haven't even gotten to the kinky parts yet here.
That's true.
What's up, Shop for Comics in the chat? Creator of the comic community Shopverse. Much appreciated that you're here, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to see, the shock on Banshee, like you said, that he was present at James's death. Just to have the initial shock of seeing this costume and this figure in front of him must have been completely traumatizing at that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can just see James doing this now. The Generation X-Men comic.
There it is.
Yep.
So then we jump away. We're back with Professor Xavier, if you can believe it or not, in his amazing Blue Oyster costume here from Police Academy. Apparently, he was rescued from the beating he received on the street last issue by some of the Morlocks, and he is down in the sewers being cared for, and Callisto is there to greet him when he comes out of his stupor. He has no clue what's going on. The fact that he's dressed for S&M kind of baffles him as well. And he's drinking his coffee, and she's explaining how the healer, who we've met before down in the sewers of New York, has used all of his abilities to basically save Xavier's life, keep him from dying. But it took everything he had out of him, and that he wasn't even able to completely heal Xavier. Xavier took some serious beatings. I think it was like 5 or 6 assailants, and basically nearly died, was on death's door or just beyond, and was brought back by the healer. So Xavier's left with a very fractured skill set. His abilities aren't quite what they used to be. And we're getting a little update on where the Morlocks are, as far as Storm is their leader. They can't go anywhere without her say, but at the same time, she's lost her powers. So Callisto can't offer to compete with her to get the privilege of being the leader back. She's got to wait for Storm's powers to return. So until such time as she can accomplish that, she's basically forced to live a life down here and just keep everybody alive and keep things kind of going. Obviously, if you were just starting to read X-Men at this time, like me, Nick, the Morlocks and Callisto are a huge part of what's going to be going on ahead here. How are your feelings on this character and the predicament she's in, and of course her fashion sense?
This is my favorite version of Callisto ever. It never got any better than this for me. Reading this again, just the adult in me wanted to know who really took the time out to accessorize Xavier, and why was that so important? Why was that so important? I mean, it's the wristbands, the headband, the chest dress.
Yep,
all of that was very shocking to me.
Yeah,
right.
What was also shocking to me was you really get a sense of the high esteem Callisto holds for Xavier. Because not only did she put her Morlocks in danger by putting the healer to do whatever he can to get Xavier out, but she put herself in danger, everybody else in danger, just to make sure that he was at least feeling a little bit better. Not just do whatever you can. I want every
Keep
ounce of your energy. Just do what you got to do for him. That was important to see in this issue.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I was surprised by that reading it again.
So obviously, Justin, we're early and still 100 issues into Claremont's run here, but big fashion change here. Big, bold choices for Xavier. When you turned the page and you saw this, I gotta know what was the reaction?
Definitely a double take. I mean, I was like, well, I can never unsee that now, can I? This is happening.
Yep.
To Nick's point, I mean, definitely, like, I could understand if you just, put pants on them, or whatever, like cover them up,
Take
But
the bloody clothes off, sure,
yeah, but to do the gloves and the head, the detail,
headband, the strap on his chest,
saying, like someone really was like, let me take a few more minutes here and really, give the extra credit here or go above and beyond, overachiever. This was definitely an interesting set of scenes because, even though she saved him, which by the way, I called it, right, John? I said that I thought it was a Morlock. If I had to guess, it was the Morlocks that kind of pulled him off the street. She's in a way, she's still kind of cold to Professor X. He's like, oh, can I see this? Can I check out? She's like, listen, like if this wasn't a different situation, you would not be welcomed here. You would not be here otherwise. Be happy we saved you. Essentially, she's a little cold in that regard. And then the other part was, as Nick mentioned, like the honor system that she holds to Storm and knowing that she runs things, and she doesn't want to take it back without it being a fair fight again, the way it was when they first fought. And I like that about Callisto, that she has this level of respect and I guess honor to the system ultimately of how they kind of allow things to be run or whatever. And she's just like, so until then, whatever Storm says goes. Like, this is how it is. I'm not going to fight it. Like, I respect it. And that's what I like about Callisto. The other thing that threw me off was, and this just goes back to some of the issues we watched or we read earlier, was seeing Sunder carrying somebody in and her referencing Sunder. And the first thing I thought was, wait, but she killed him. And I'm like, oh wait, no, those are those issues that got erased from Doctor Strange. Yeah. Yep. And I was like, okay, so that was different. And if you see, I mean, this was also a heavy moment too, because Sunder is like really, he's bringing in 2 dead bodies, talking about these kids that got killed, and it adds to Callisto's point, her ammo of saying, see, Professor X, like, this is what the world wants to do with us. Like, why are we, it helps her prove her point more as to being against them and to why they want to be so separate and hiding the way that they are down in the sewers. Sure. So just a big, eye-opening moment just for her continuing to kind of make her points to him.
Absolutely. We got Brian LCS in the chat. What is going on, Brian?
What's up, Brian?
Good to see
you,
sir.
Too, like I hadn't realized this, but maybe they dressed Xavier like that to really make him feel like he was one of them. Like, he may not be a Morlock.
No, it's a good point.
But he's a mutant.
Sure.
So they want to make him feel like he's at home. He's one of them. He looks and talks just like them. Maybe not talk.
They didn't put any wheelchair ramps in for him.
No. They did give him earrings though. So I mean,
they did. It's a good look.
It's gotta be something.
Ryan says that's TMI. It's just too much, that outfit. I love the reactions to his look. Everybody's like, oh my God. Looks at himself. Put me back, Callisto. I'm not done yet. Hi to all again. Sorry if I can't respond. Listening while driving. Be safe, Gary. Be safe, brother.
Yeah.
In this issue of X-Men, leather, who wore it better? Claremont has some weird things he puts in his stories, like tentacles. What's going on? Art Chemist in the chat. Good to see you, sir. Yes, we're looking forward to the final episode tomorrow, man. For sure. We got Daryl from Read Your Comics. I'm wearing his. This is his shirt from his website. So if you want to find his cool stuff, hey, get it hooked up, man. Professor X should wear this to the next Hellfire Gala. No kink shaming. Yeah, no kink shaming. I agree. Well, let's continue along here. We jump back now to what's going on with James Proudstar, and he's not in Muir Island now. He's traveled across the globe. He is now in Colorado, and he is basically preparing for what his end game is here. He is preparing for a fight, and he is looking at the crash site where he thinks his brother may have died. This is, of course, in the Colorado mountains, basically at the NORAD facility, where the U.S. government monitors missile activity. If anything was going to be coming into the United States, they could protect us from it. So it's basically a very well protected government facility. And while he's there, he's thinking to himself, and he gets interrupted by two people in enormous purple jackets. It's Roulette and Empath, two people that he's kind of met through the Hellfire Club, where he is basically being educated by Emma Frost. And they've come to help him on his mission. Mostly because, as we learned through this issue, Empath's a jerk. And that's just kind of his jam. Even though Romita Jr. draws him a lot like Peter Parker, and we can get into that in a little bit here. They offer to help him. They're like, look, you can't take the X-Men on your own. And he's Proudstar's not hearing it. He's like, no. This is my honor at stake here. I need to do this for my brother. I blame Xavier for what he did. He could have saved my brother's life. He needs to pay. And that's when FIRESTAR shows up. And apparently she is under the control of Empath in some way. She believes that it's true love and she'll do anything for him. And he is manipulating her to do what he needs. And she also apparently tied into that Hellfire crew. I don't know about you guys. I watched Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So this was a weird introduction for this character who I always thought was just a straight up hero. And it's like, she's starting off brainwashed. I don't know, Nick, did that sort of shock you a little bit when you first saw her?
There were a lot of things that came abruptly in this issue. Like I wondered where how did FIRESTAR and Empath cross paths? Like where did that come from? Like how did they meet? I've kind of like to know where that happened.
Yeah.
You know, also to me, seeing John Romita, and I'm glad you brought up the whole Peter Parker thing because that was part of my notes also.
Okay.
But to see her flying down in the back, like she is the opposite of Rogue because she's got no butt whatsoever.
Oh, that's great. Yes, that's fair. But she also has a costume. My wife even said her costume is like it's very revealing. Like there's nothing to hide. There's just it's a leotard.
Yeah. And I also wondered about this. Like reading this as an 11-year-old, you know, you have no disbelief about anything. But as an adult, you're like, how does is it James Proudstar? Okay, I was confused.
Yeah.
How did he find out the story about how his brother died, and why does he blame Xavier for that? Like, if you read 95, there were only 3 people there present,
right?
You know, 2 of them died. Really.
I think they imply in the story that somebody like Xavier came to the family and gave them the news of his brother's death. He says something like, "You told my parents that he died in Apache's death, and you know that he died a grand warrior." Mm. So Xavier gave them some information. It's hard to know how much he gave over and how because clearly James seems to have all the facts.
Yeah. So it just wondered to me where all this anger and hate came from. If he knew the real story, I mean, reading that, they both tried to do what they could at the time of his death, and this is just what John wanted to do. So
that's fair. Justin, we got a whole bunch of new characters and giant purple jackets. What are your thoughts here on not only these new characters but winter wear now?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate purple. They're representing the Ravens. It's a little off purple compared to the Ravens, but I'll take it. A lot of new characters to me. I mean, I know some of them just, you know, thanks to the Hickman and more current stuff. But otherwise, I mean, obviously new here, and I haven't really read anything else in between the current stuff and here. So this is really a first for me to get a taste of these characters. And I think it does a good job of just setting out, like, this is what I like about X-Men and mutants and in general, is that it's not all just like superheroes and villains, but like you get these little like side things about relationships, or in this case, you know, Empath using, you know, some trickery of his own, and Roulette, her name's Roulette, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who I had no idea there was a character named Roulette, so that's really cool. That's my new favorite song.
She's huge, Justin. She's huge.
So you know, he's hearing kind of her thoughts and saying, like, she kind of breaks it down, saying like, yeah, this girl does, you know, is just like falling for it because based on his stuff. It just gave me a real understanding of kind of how some of their powers work, you know, right off the get. Sure. I'm still learning FIRESTAR a little more, but yeah, I mean, as far as the stuff with James Proudstar here, I think. And you're right, Nick. Like it doesn't really explain that much. I think some of it's just like misguided or blind anger that maybe he has to release in some way, or he's just frustrated and wants to blame someone, and maybe that's a part of it. But you're right, we ultimately don't get that sort of detail, at least not here. I don't know if maybe down the road, but other than maybe just the hint of John, as you were saying, just the the suggestion that they kind of explain verbally to them. So it's all all we really have to go off of. But
at this point, like to your point, Justin, in Uncanny X-Men, these are all very new characters. Like we've never seen any one of them here in Uncanny. So if you were only reading this, you'd miss. I mean, because Proud Star James here had been in a few issues of New Mutants. And same with Roulette and Empath. They'd had a little bit of time there, and of course, this is technically not the first appearance of FIRESTAR. It's the first appearance of her in continuity. She had a full run of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, a series of comics there, and then there was like a giveaway one shot or something connected to some advertisement thing. So there are prior to this, a few years in advance, some other comics. But for X-Men fans, certainly, there's no way to know who these characters were if you were not reading or watching anything else.
Yeah. Like I still like watching that little GIF of her and her powers. I hear the theme song, no doubt, and I see the little dog with the beret clips in her ears, and that was my childhood on Saturday mornings. Yeah,
nice. Heck yeah, man! Heck yeah. There was also a 4-issue mini after this. Okay, I did not know that, Ryan. Thank you so much. And I do remember that, Daryl, the classic X-Men issue that ended, and it might have been the one for 95 that ended with a little thing where you see young James getting the news. I want to say one of the early issues includes that as the added material in the classic version. All right, well, let's continue along here. We get now back to the mansion. We're training again. We're in the danger room. New Mutants versus X-Men. There's a little mix match going on, and there's Cannonball in the center there, and he's basically playing a game of tag where he's just trying to tag one of the current X-Men team members, and the only guy that doesn't quite understand how tag works seems to be Colossus, because he tags the crap out of him. Absolutely rolls the guy all the way around. And then Kitty has to interject and be like, no, but that's not tag. And then there's Wolverine who's like, who cares? In real fighting, there's no rules. And then he basically tries to stab Colossus and they trip him. It's just Logan being Logan. And then Cannonball decides this is my perfect time to tag him back, and he comes flying through and just knocks Colossus down. And the whole time you got Rachel and Lockheed and Doug up in the booth there, kind of watching over the whole thing, trying to find ways to keep these trainees on their toes. They even create a whole world based on a civilization that the Newtons had recently been in one of their stories as another background. But yeah, we're right back into training. And what were your thoughts here, Justin? The Cannonball, I think, we've seen a little bit with him, a little bit with Doug up to now, but this is definitely fun to see the young kids and the old fogies kind of going at it here.
Oh, I love this scene. Like, these are, anything with the Danger Room, and especially, with the new characters kind of tying into things. And again, I'm still very new to the New Mutants. Like, just, seeing a little bit more of how they interact with the main team is very new to me. So I love it. And I know we got a little bit of, the tag scenes in a couple issues ago. And that was like outside of the Danger Room. So this was, a little different and just still showing that they were, applying everything. What you pointed out there, Colossus just kind of screwing things up, and Kitty's like, "You dope," she's like, "You don't do that. Now you tagged him. Like, you're not supposed to do that." Like, she's like, and then she crouches down beneath Colossus to kind of trip him.
Yeah, she trips him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love the tag team there. So that was a lot of fun. I also like that we got to see the actual angle or visual of the Danger Room when it changed. One, because it's nice to just get reminded that this room can have, it has this ability to really almost like Forge, like almost like that vibe of his setup. But I like that you still see the little window of Doug in them, like
up in the wall there.
Yeah. So just like a cool way to kind of see what they're seeing, and at the same time get the big, the big picture thing. So
for sure,
I thought this was fun. Yeah.
Don Gustavo, it's I guess technically his fourth appearance, whether you call things cameos or whatever. It's the Giant Size would be his fourth appearance. And Chet says it was classic X-Men 3, which makes sense because it would be Giant Size, it would be 94 and then 95. So that would make sense. That would make sense. Nick, I know you gotta love a good Danger Room sequence. Even when Colossus is like, "I'm gonna punch a kid," like that's what I'm doing. I hit kids now.
I think this is the only time I've seen a Danger Room experience where nothing goes wrong. There's always something that's malfunctioning or going on. But I always love these sessions because it's always somebody peacocking and strutting their stuff in a really big way, just like Wolverine is. And you kind of see the relationship Kitty and Wolverine have displayed over the past 50 or so issues.
Well, and the miniseries, right? That just wrapped. You've got that great camaraderie they built up.
Yep, and I was a big fan of the New Mutants at the time, and I always love, whenever you say Cannonball, it's always like near invulnerability. They always have to point that out at some point. And I just love, I love to see the Danger Room and what it presents, the challenges it presents to the X-Men at the time.
For sure. And I love a good moment with Doug. I like that Doug is up there at the controls. He's always the guy that seems to have like all the connection to the technology side of things. So I always like seeing him. Let's see here. We're going to move along to the next set of panels here. We got the fight continues. Now we've got the ground breaks under Wolverine. Rogue's coming to the rescue, but Cannonball's still going. He crashes right into Rogue and knocks her down. And in the midst of their training session, apparently the entrance to the mansion is in the Danger Room because here comes Callisto and here comes Xavier in his amazing outfit. They're back home again, and Callisto's like, "I'm out. I got you home. I'm getting out of here now. I'm not staying." And all the team is giggling and laughing at this outfit that Xavier's in. He doesn't even bat an eye. He just strolls right on in. And even Cannonball gets teased a little bit for wearing a similar costume at some point. And he says, "Yeah, but I was blushing when I had to walk through here wearing it." Then we get our one page of Storm in this issue. She is on her way home to Africa, and on the boat, she has a strange vision of this sort of set of cliffs. And then a woman appears to her and speaks to her, and she calls this woman Mother. And then the vision is gone, but she feels like it wasn't just in her head. She feels like there was some reality to this. There was something going on here. So, Nick, I'm curious. Growing up reading these like I did, is Mohawk Storm a cool thing for you, or is it just a phase?
We spoke about earlier about redheads, which I can attest to, but I have always wanted a dark-skinned, white-haired, blue-eyed, beautiful woman like Storm is. This is my favorite iteration of Storm. I think John Romita draws her perfectly. I think Claremont here tried to set up stuff. Like I kind of like the mysticism, and I guess we won't see until when she meets up and hooks up with T'Challa, like the real African mysticism she has in her background.
Sure,
this was kind of cool, but I don't remember if this one page thing ever amounted to anything.
I think it's en route to the journey she's going on in Life Death Part 2 and sort of the second half of that journey. But she definitely is playing a smaller part in a lot of the issues we're going to get here in the next few.
Yeah, for me that Storm is again chef's kiss. I wish there was more of that. That's I would take that over a redhead any day.
Justin, I love that they put a little comedy in that his students can't help but laugh at Xavier strolling into the Danger Room. What was your thoughts about that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I like that they kind of, hold the phone. Like, hang on, what are we looking at right now? Who just walked in here? And yeah, the fact that they just kind of walk in and they're just like, excuse me, like, don't mean to interrupt. Like, while just casually walking into the Danger Room. I like that scene. It's fun. And Callisto just leaves. She's like, I'll see myself out. See you later.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, it's not like it's a mansion. There's got to be other entrances, right? This is not the only way in. Xavier chose to roll in through the Danger Room. That was a choice.
Yes, that's true. Very true. The whole bit with Storm, Nick is spot on, man. I think that Romita Jr. time and time again, as we've been going through all these books, and we certainly have had some highs and lows with his artwork in general. And I'm not fully sold on his stuff in throughout what we've seen so far yet. But Storm always seems to be perfect with how she's drawn, especially the close-up scenes, like the closer face. I feel like in general, Romita's been really good in this era with a majority of that stuff, other than a handful that we might have picked apart. But
Sure.
for the most part, it's really well done, and especially Storm. So yeah, I agree. Like, I love those pages there, and I do like that we get these little, again, it's Claremont, just sprinkling little seeds, right? Every so often we get a page, random page here, random page there, and I like that it just kind of checks in, just for a quick moment. I do kind of laugh that she's taking a boat, and I just think, like, with all the technology and the way they've traveled all their lives, and like, I don't know, that they wouldn't just like fly her there quickly and just but I mean, that it is what it is. Maybe she wanted that to be alone and have that downtime, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's fair. JP saying Colossus is better punching a kid than what he's trying to do with Kitty. I mean, Xavier and his amazing outfits. All right.
They did take the time to take all the accoutrements off, though. Doesn't have the headband on anymore. No more earrings.
No, just the wife beater and the leather pants.
I'll just go with the ripped tank top. Fine.
Chet, I know he's got a issue of Burns 113 somewhere.
Yeah, I love, like, her going back to her backstory in the streets of Cairo and the Shadow King and all that stuff. I love that stuff. Fantastic.
For sure. Absolutely. All right, moving on to the next bit. We needed more Storm, so I thought I would just throw that slide in there.
Who was the artist on that one, John? Though
that's John Romita. Still, that was.
Was that in it? Was that in the last issue? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I might have
two issues ago.
Two issues. Yeah.
191.
So it would have been 91. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta reread that.
Very, very Red Sonja-esque.
Yes.
So now we get Xavier getting a hot bath. It's really been a long, hard day for poor Charles. And he gets interrupted, and he's got the phone in the bathtub, and he's still answering it. And he's like, why aren't they mentally talking to me? Oh, wait, I don't have my powers. I'm kind of messed up from all the kicks to the head and that brick and everything else. They're calling him because they just got a message from James Proudstar basically saying, I got your guy. Come out and get him if you want. He basically, I'm going to kill you guys. You owe me for what you did to my brother, blah, 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 blah. And so Charles is like, okay, well, this is a horrible trap, but we got to go anyways. Like, if we, and Wolverine points out, this is like a serious military facility. Like, we can't just go breaking in here. We're going to become outlaws all over again. But Charles is like, look, we can't ignore the fact that he's got Sean. We got to go and rescue him. Like, we can't just ignore this situation. So, Justin, what were your thoughts here on obviously Charles's his downtime, the bubble bath, but then also the emergency now laid at their feet?
Yeah, so I like that going through Professor X's head, he's kind of weighing his option or like his situation as a whole, because like obviously he's he was leading the X-Men. He was very much adding his own input even when he wasn't the true leader, ever since he's been able to walk again. And so he's already saying like, okay, like that's kind of out of the picture right now, especially with how he's feeling. And then on top of that, we learned recently that he became a teacher at Columbia University, and like that was going really well, and he was enjoying it more so than even what he was doing with the X-Men. And I thought that was a really new add-on to his character. And now he's like going over that, thinking to himself, well, I can't really do that right now either. Just not, mentally in that space. Right. I did kind of laugh because he goes, like it or not, I have no choice but to take a vacation. And I guess phrasing of that, like, like to not, I don't know, like vacation is interesting the way for him to kind of phrase it. But yeah, it just shows, kind of some of the concerns on his mind, and reminding us that, oh yeah, he had this other gig going on that was something he was like, really looking forward to. And, who knows when he'll get back to that. As far as the situation goes, I mean, it's Proudstar's way of getting their attention. And I mean, it certainly works. I thought maybe there'd be a better way for him to do it, but I guess as far as traveling goes, it's easier for him to get the team riled up and travel to him.
I mean, if you've got the X-Men's home phone number, then you're all set. You dial into that main computer.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Nick, we also have a bit of a debate on leadership going on now at the team, right? Because Nightcrawler has been given the mantle of team leader. Xavier can walk again. He's kind of back in the role of being in charge in a lot of ways. Storm left a bit of a vacuum. Cyclops left a bit of a vacuum. And Nightcrawler's confidence is not there. So there's a lot of debate going on here. What are your thoughts on leadership at this moment?
Yeah, I think ever since Giant Size, Nightcrawler's been kind of traumatized by how he was treated by humanity as a whole. And I don't think he knows really how to deal with people as a group and how to have his feelings expressed in a proper way. So I think he's having, like you said, a crisis of confidence, and we'll see that manifest itself a little bit later in the issue.
Oh, for sure.
But for me, Kurt's always been one of those characters, like aside from the way he looks, like I've always loved his character design. And I've always wondered, like he's always struggled with something within himself, whether it's the religion now or who he loves or who his mother is, who his parents are. But I think that's just, that goes along with his character. He's always struggling with something within himself. So,
Oh, totally. Very well said. JP says, only thing about that Storm page is that normally when Claremont usually has her, he shows her wearing far less clothes, and then I switch panels. He's like, oh yeah, like that. Jackson, sorry, I'll save it for later on. I'll send it to you. We'll hook you up. So yeah, the X-Men decide they've got to go no matter what. So they're going to invade the Cheyenne Mountain with codename Valhalla, apparently. But it is basically NORAD, right? The North American Air Defense Command. No, that's North NAD. That's not the right acronym. Anyways, Kitty is the one sent in first. She has decided to use her. They've decided to use her abilities to phase her way in. And of course, she can disrupt technology as well. So she can hopefully create a safe space for them to be able to then be teleported in. Xavier can't read her mind. His powers aren't all the way there. So they're using Rachel as a sort of link between Xavier and the team. And then basically creating a vision in Nightcrawler's mind so that he can then one by one teleport people safely into the inside of the base. This takes a lot out of Nightcrawler, and he's going to continually be sort of struggling with his endurance through this whole experience. And we've seen him struggle with this ability. He goes back to Xavier and says, I can bring you along or take you to safety. And Xavier's like, no, I'm going to stay out here. The ship is camouflaged. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. And then, of course, 1 second later, right after Nightcrawler leaves, there's Roulette. And she's on the outside, and she's basically playing havoc with him and trying to manipulate him by using her abilities. He is freaking out. The headset's not working. His powers aren't working. Cerebro's not helping. Lockheed runs away in fear, but that's when Empath shows up, and he basically gets into a battle of minds with Xavier. So a lot of stuff happening in these 3 pages, a lot of interesting action, a lot of things going on here. But at the core of it for me is struggles in leadership. Xavier not at his best, Nightcrawler not at his best. What are your thoughts here on the vulnerabilities of our team here, Nick?
For me to see this is what I really enjoy about the X-Men. I don't like being part of people who have no issues, not only with their powers, but with their personalities. You know, they can handle anything. To see people vulnerable like this, I think it leads to a more cohesive team. And I think we'll see with Rachel a little later. She's new to everything, and she's kind of not really on the up and up yet, but it really does start her rocky road to becoming a valuable member of the team in future issues.
Totally.
It's just weird to me to see Lockheed run away. Like I don't think that's a little odd to me, because I thought Lockheed was just a gangster. So
right, but I think it's based on what Roulette is doing to like strike fear into him, and then he's taken off as a reaction to her abilities, right? Yeah, but I don't know that I understand Roulette's powers well enough to explain what she's done, what she can do.
Yeah, I took it as she kind of stirred the pot within Lockheed's head of alertness, or it says a primal terror. Concentrated burst of pure primal terror that kind of, I don't know if he was scared and it was like amplified by what she did. I'm not sure.
Maybe. Let's see. Yes, Magic Glass was pointing out that is Rachel Dinners. She is there. Spell check yourselves, guys. Watch out. JP is pointing out something, Justin, here. We get another great Kitty Pryde outfit. What are your thoughts on her Ninja Turtle mask she's got there?
Yeah, I mean, she's clearly putting in effort, thinking about the, Shadow Cat character that we've now learned about.
The big shoulder pads, the popped collar. She's really more in the 80s, right?
I respect that she's trying, she's it's her specialty, right? She's always going to be trying some new clothes and having fun with it. But yeah, I have to say she was, in many ways, I feel like she was MVP of this issue, with all the different things that she's done here just to help get the team, safely inside. And then, as I know we'll see later on things that she does teaming up with Wolverine. Like, I think that with all her abilities and what she can do, like, they were definitely leaning on her for a lot of stuff. So, big shout out to Kitty again. Another reason why she's one of my favorite characters, of the X-Men and just mutants in general. And
for sure.
So yeah, love that part. And then the other thing was just seeing, and we've talked about this recently too, more and more of how Nightcrawler's abilities, like how he's learning to work with certain things. And in this scene, we get to see how, because normally, as they explain, like he has to see visually like where he has to go in order to bamf. He uses like the sight that he has, the connection, the Psylink between him, Rachel, and Kitty, where Kitty is, and because of all that, he's able to actually still make it work and then carry people along with. I just love the team up between the three of them, really, all together. So that's something you don't. That was new to me. I mean, seeing that style of how they're kind of working together to get get the job done. So love that. I also love this panel here of just kind of the wave, the green wash over, the faces kind of blur. She can't really hear Professor X just because he's weaker. He's just weaker right now.
It's almost like static, right?
Yeah. And I like how even the wording in that, like it kind of shows what he's saying,
right?
But, in his thought bubble or his quote bubble. So that was cool. And then this whole thing with Empath, he just catches Professor X at the right time, I think.
Let me move to the next page, but keep going.
Yeah, just like, I mean, he even says like he's just like normally he could handle him, but because of how weak he is, Empath is essentially able to outdo him here, at least for this little bit.
Yeah, because so he's in this battle of wills, and it keeps Xavier distracted enough that basically Roulette comes in and can gas him and knock him out. And at the same time, the X-Men feel the link dawn. Rachel recognizes something's not quite right, but she's also, to Nick's point, carrying some heavy burden. She's worried about anything that might lead to the future she comes from, and she's absolutely aware that things can go really awry in this particular moment, and she's trying to avoid repeating anything that's happened in the past. So when they ask her to basically get in and help them, and help them find where Banshee is in the facility, she says, "No, I'm not going to do it," and she basically goes right through the floor and vanishes on them. She just disappears, or she falls apart. This leads Wolverine and Kitty Pryde to decide that we gotta solve this for ourselves, and they just run floor by floor through this facility with Kitty leading the way and helping them go through phasing all these different walls and things to try to see if they can find the guy himself. But a lot of like confusion on the battlefield going on here, Justin. To your point of like Xavier on his knees, basically, in his ability.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly playing a big part, him and Rachel. I mean, the team is lucky that they've had Rachel this time to be able to kind of step in or fill in for these moments. But even here, seeing her struggle, and again, a quick reminder: we've been getting little glimpses of her, daydreaming flashbacks to her past and her nightmares, really more than daydream. And just remembering things of how they were. And clearly, she's not okay. She needs to talk to somebody. She needs help. Outside of all this, to be able to talk this stuff out. And I know that, she's got a lot of her own concerns of like making sure it doesn't happen again. Also, like, she doesn't want the team to know per se what she's done in the past. And I know she mentions a little bit more of that later. So, a lot of heaviness on her, and they're all confused. They're like, what, why are you breaking down right now? They don't quite get it. I will say with this duo, Kitty and Wolverine, like ever since the whole, when they're in Japan, like seeing them two work together, knowing their abilities, and like they just seem like they are an unstoppable force. Like if I was able to pick them two on my team, like that, they would be the core two, because because they make everything work together, and we get to see a little bit, this year.
Absolutely.
So.
Fact.
Yeah, and listening to you guys talk, like I realize that Claremont's choice of members here really do balance each other out. With Nightcrawler's in his lack of confidence, and Kitty is just the complete opposite, ready to dive and do anything. And same thing with Rogue and Colossus. But Colossus is always a little bit hesitant to do what needs to be done, and Rogue just jumps in there.
Yeah.
Later on in the issue, and she just like, all right, if you're not going to do it, I'll do it myself. And you just Logan just being the best at what he does.
And they've got, Nick, that great cross section of the mountain where you kind of see Kitty going. What did you think of that sequence?
Whenever they do that, and they've done that a few times over the course of the issue, like even to remember, and I think it was ASM Annual 1 where they do the cross section of the Baxter building.
Oh, okay.
Just to see which every room does. And just this whole dynamic of her phasing through the floors, I've always loved when they've done that.
That's me too, for sure. We got Toby in the chat. He says, and Firestar has a little puppy called Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know. Keep that in mind. So we jump back to the Blackbird. Nightcrawler brought Rogue to kind of check on Professor Xavier, what's going on. And he comes back to check. He leaves Rogue to guard Xavier, but he comes back to check on the team. Obviously, we've still got Colossus caring for Rachel, who's kind of fallen apart. And Nightcrawler is really just down on himself. There's just really hating his skills as a leader. He's feeling like it's all just falling apart. I'm horrible at this. Meanwhile, inside the facility, there's apparently tours. You can take tours of this
in this top secret high security.
Yeah.
So casual.
Yeah. And none of them are wearing badges. None of them are they're not. They haven't stopped by the gift shop yet. But in the tour, we've got Firestar, we've got Empath, and we've got Roulette, and they're just walking through, and they decide now is the time to really let the dogs off the leash here. What we're going to do is set off all the alarms inside the facility so that they know exactly where the X-Men are, and we're gonna make them fight each other. And what do they have in this facility to fight people that break in? Giant robots. Yeah, man. We're gonna get guys in mech suits, and we're gonna go fight mutants. And they've unleashed them now. We're gonna get robot fighting. Now, Nick, for me, I love anytime the X-Men fight robots. It's kind of like I love it. Just give me more giant robots.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. I'm like, why even bother? Because they're gonna say, oh, don't hurt them. There's somebody inside the mech suits. I'm like, come on, dude. Really?
I love it, man. Just tear them up.
This is the mid '80s. We're all Johnny Five alive back then fighting the robots. So
that's fair. Lasso says, I like the big purple ones better. I get it.
There you go.
Justin, obviously, some more Crisis of Faith stuff going on for Nightcrawler here, and Trouble. His leadership not so solid at this point.
Yeah, like I think someone needs to just kind of smack him once and pull yourself together, man. Like he's losing it, man. He's really starting to lose it. And he's just getting in his own head. I mean, this is time and time again. And the fact that this is definitely a newer position for him, situation that he's in. And he's just like taking everything for blame. So like the minute Rachel goes down, he's just like, see, if Storm was here, that wouldn't have happened. Like that, like that, like immediately he's like, I'm doing a terrible job. Like people are freaking out, not wanting to, So it's, he's just in his own head. He needs to pull it together. And it's kind of cool though, to see him frazzled like this, because it just shows that, he's, he struggles, right? I think any of us would be in a situation like that if they were, thrown in leading the X-Men. I mean, this is the X-Men. He's leader of now. I mean, this is a big deal. So, for him to be put in this spot, I kind of don't blame him. I think some of the other team members, I guess Colossus is kind of trying to calm him down, but like I think some of the others have to kind of just talk him through it. Like, hey, like we're good here. We just need to stay focused,
Right.
But yeah, the whole the tourist things had me laughing. Definitely random. Was not sure what was going on there. And then of course we had to get the robots. But yeah, man, we start to see this trickery between Roulette and Empath, and they're dangerous too. I mean, at least with what they're doing with humans, like they're just making them feel certain ways, making them amplified, their feelings. And I know we get some more, honest truth out of some of these humans, thanks to Empath especially. But
right, he's upping the mutant fears in the general running
either
the
the
facility,
fear,
right?
the anger, the hate, whatever,
Yeah.
the mix of all that.
Yeah, for sure. Nick, anything else you want to stay here? Should we roll on a little further?
No, I'm okay here. Like I noticed with the art, sometimes Romita really shines, but there's an instance coming up where I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, it's inconsistent for sure. And when he gets some of the facial close-ups, we'll get to a little bit. But I love this bit, and I'm my favorite panels coming up here on these 2 pages. We've discovered where Sean has been hiding. Kitty Pryde is going to get him out of his handcuffs, phasing him, but nobody sneaks up on Wolverine. He notices somebody hiding in the shadows. He pops James on the mouth and gets into this awesome little breakdance fight bit here. Really great moves all around. But my favorite is that far panel with a white background where they're holding hands, and then Wolverine does the knee to the jaw.
Yeah,
it's such great motion.
Fantastic. That's
really
fantastic.
Great. And then Wolverine realizes, oh no, there's gas being leaked into the room. Like, this is toxic. Kitty's got to get Sean out of here. My mutant power will protect me for a little while at least. But Kitty comes right back. She doesn't really pay all of the good attention that she should have. And when she does, it has an effect on her. She can't phase. She kind of collapses to the ground and now maybe is a little bit more vulnerable. But lots of good action going on here, right, Nick?
Yeah, and can I ask you guys a question? Do we really think that top secret facilities have gas built in like this?
Yes.
I have a hard
shops.
Yeah, I mean, everything that could incapacitate a mutant, they got right there at the
You can get a mug when you go out, with your t-shirt and a hoodie.
Yeah, and I have to 100% agree with you. Seeing that knee to the chin was just another chef's kiss to me. That was fantastic.
Yes. Really, he controls movement, I feel like, really well in his art. Romita Jr. really does a good job with movement. Struggles maybe sometimes with faces, but the movement is really captured well. Yep. Justin, any thoughts here on this battle? Finally, we're getting into the fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, this right here, the shadow side of it with James, I just love how it's drawn. I love the detail in it, and the fact that Wolverine's throwing this quick jab, and you just pick it all up as this all kind of unfolds as they try to save Banshee. Like, yeah, he immediately catches him and gets a good shot at him, and then going into those other battle scenes of the white background. I couldn't agree more. Those are just those are outstanding. And again, this is the duo, right? Just seeing Kitty and Wolverine teaming up. They kind of get in a little bit of trouble, like you said. I mean, Wolverine told Kitty to go on essentially without him. He was going to kind of take care of this and then figure it out. He does, talk a little bit about how the poison's not quite mixing well with his abilities to heal, or it's like slowing that down. So, and then of course, Kitty coming back, losing balance of everything that she's trying to do and getting an understanding more of her abilities and how, this gas is kind of throwing it all off. But she kind of, gets herself in trouble again, kind of as usual.
Bobby says the thermostat does heat, air conditioning, and sleep rest. It's like one of the settings. You just rotate it.
Convenient.
I gotta check my Nest for that one.
Yeah.
Jackson Roy Kirk says, no. Proudstar built that. He set that up. He broke into this facility and put all these contraptions in. They had no clue he was there. He set it all up. He's like ninja style.
Next time we need sharks with freaking laser beams.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. So Wolverine gets distracted by Kitty's collapse. Then the sucker punch happens. He gets laid out, and he's like, he really feels that one. He gets launched across the floor, and then of course the gas continues to affect him, and he passes out. And this is when we really get an insight into where James is at and where his head is at, because he recognizes he could leave them here to die, but he can't do it. Something about it. He's not able to just be the murderer. So he drags them out. Especially recognizing that Kitty had nothing to do with what he's upset about. He pulls them to a place where there's oxygen masks and some antidotes to save them, clearly meaning he didn't set this up. This is part of the facility. And then he goes to hunt down Xavier, who is his real target. Meanwhile, the alarms are going off. Nightcrawler is exhausted, and he and Colossus and Rachel have to deal with the giant robots and the people inside the suits.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. What are your thoughts here, Nick, on the mental state of James? Because I think he's an interesting character at this point.
Yeah, I would have liked to see what triggered him. To have that, whether it was Wolvie looking after Kitty, just what made him feel like he was in the wrong here all of a sudden? Because obviously he went through all of this, this elongated period of time, kidnapping Sean, calling them out, ransoming, all this other stuff. Like, what was the trigger here to make him have the change of mind? So.
Sure, absolutely, because he clearly set this up with violent intent, but now he's backing off of that.
Yeah,
yeah,
with no clear indication as why. So,
for sure. Justin, what are your thoughts here on the change of mind that he has here? Did this shock you when all of a sudden he was like, nope, I can't leave him to die?
Like, reading this at this moment, the only thing I could think of was like just seeing like Kitty Pryde, being this teenage girl that, as he says, like she wasn't even part of the team. Like, why am I, he's weighing like his how it's not really, it wouldn't be honorable to like kill this little girl who wasn't even part of the team to begin with, let alone the fact that she's innocent in regards to like the points he's trying to make. And I think that one might have been like the key thing that might have at least opened his eye a little bit to have a little bit of guilt of some sort.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, otherwise he was pretty determined. I'm going to kill the whole team. Then I'm going to kill Professor X and so on and so forth. And he does like kick himself even when he saves them. And he's like, okay, the only way to redeem myself and all this is to just kill Professor X. Like, so he clearly is he's going back and forth for sure. Like,
absolutely, he's at warpath with himself.
Yeah, exactly.
I see what you did there, John.
Yeah.
There it was. Callie says he did it for the brownie points. There it is. That's what it was. So yeah, the robots break in. Somehow they've got the ability to tie up Nightcrawler and keep him from bamfing. They lasso him up and capture him. But then that's when we go with the old fastball special. But this time Rogue is going to throw Colossus whammo right into the middle of these robots, and he's going to just start wreaking havoc on these machines. And in the midst of all of this, Firestar shows up, and she decides she's got to take out Colossus, who she views as the biggest threat, or at least that's what Empath told her. So she captures Colossus and flies off with him. But for me, there's some great art here, Justin. Some good fighting sequences and some fun twists. How did you like the reverse fastball special we got going here?
Yeah, seeing the fastball special being the setup that it is, and Colossus obviously usually being the one doing the throwing, very different and very exciting to just see such a classic move at this point, be executed in sort of a different or unique way. And sure enough, it works. I mean, he just tears it up right after all these robots that are here. Now we're calling them robots, but they are like technically there are people inside.
It's like a mech suit, more than anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
those are the sec bots, baby.
Sec bots. That's
security robots.
I was like, is that a misspell? I don't know.
Not to be confused with the sex bots. They have those on a different floor.
Completely different issue there.
Yeah, different function.
Austin Powers comes out. The fembot. I mean, Firestar just showing up, doing her thing. It was kind of like a rock, paper, scissors, I feel like, between these groups of one beating one, then the next beating the other. But yeah, I love the action.
It's not the first reverse fastball, because I know that there was a moment when Wolverine basically like threw him and said, "Way to go, Rusky," and like launched him at something they were fighting. He's done some. Wolverine did throw Colossus at an enemy at one point.
Yeah,
but it's not as exact as this.
I think that was on the moon when they had no gravity. I think so.
Yeah. There is an odd panel here, Nick. That far one with the perspective on Colossus in that far panel with his like knee right at us and his very odd proportions in some of the. We're starting to get into some of the oddities for me.
Yeah, I've always wondered what those things are on top of the boots and what function they serve. I think that's what's really lending towards that.
It's a volleyball knee pad in case he goes down on his knees real hard.
The guy's got a whole metal body. He's not going to hurt his knees when he kneels.
That's fair.
It's just like reading this now. I'm like, how do they have something that stops Nightcrawler from teleporting?
Yeah, I was
How
very
is that-
much confused by that.
How is that a thing?
But maybe I just
Anytime-
took it as he's too tired. He doesn't have the energy.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. And for me, it's like anytime, like even now at 51, I'm like, anytime I see a fastball special, I'm like, F yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Absolutely.
This might be the first time Rogue got to get in on one of them.
Yeah.
Bro, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's only been a team member for 15 or so issues.
Yeah, and I don't think she's thrown Wolverine yet, but maybe someone will
Hmm.
correct me. Like this guy who says issue 137, Wolverine throws Pete into the Dark Phoenix. So there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, other than that's the thing that's off-putting, like I said, is the part of the boots, but I kind of like the twirly part where he's grabbing the robot.
Throwing those mech suits around.
Secbot.
Moving along, we get flying into the sky is Colossus being carried around by Firestar, but Rogue is coming to the rescue. Rogue comes flying up behind him and basically uses her ability, takes off a glove, absorbs a little bit of Firestar's power enough to still fly around and carry, and then basically carries them back down to Earth. Meanwhile, the Secbots have brought Nightcrawler before the general, who's like, I don't care what you're doing here. I don't care if you've got a good reason. We're going to torture you. We're going to find out whatever we want. And Empath uses this moment because apparently, even in the middle of a lockdown in a secure facility, tours still keep going. You still get to enjoy the facility. You still get to see it all. And you're standing there, and Empath decides, I'm going to up this a little bit. I'm going to hit in on Nightcrawler's anxiety and basically make him go into a rage. And then that unleashes his ability apparently to teleport again. And he starts fighting all these guys and basically becomes the mutant that is deep and seated in the fears of the general. So lots of stuff going on here, Nick, to enjoy, especially that I don't know that I get a Dan Aykroyd vibe from this general.
Yes.
He's giving me Dan Aykroyd in the 80s vibe.
Why are they always smoking cigars too? That's what I want to know. He's a bad smoker.
But any thoughts here on what's going on here with the team? Obviously, a lot of discombobulation.
Yeah, I don't know too. It's like you asked me earlier. I prefer them in space where they're not dealing with feelings and hatred, and they're not allowed to do what they really want to do. And this is kind of the start of that whole human versus mutant thing again.
Yeah,
ramping that back up. So, as Justin said before, Claremont sprinkles these little things in to kind of get the ball rolling there, and I really see that happening here with this.
Absolutely. Justin, obviously, we're getting another episode of Rogue takes a glove off and gets her hands on somebody.
Yeah, she doesn't hold back with this sort of thing. I wanted to point out. And this is like tied technically to the last page and going into this page is the one guy in the suit, the captain, when he brings him to the or you can go back to
sorry. Where he brings them in.
Brings him to this one. He actually talks about, like, he questions. He's like, why? He goes, I remember Nightcrawler. He refers to remembering Nightcrawler from a previous time back when they were all there from early, the 90s, 95. Yeah. And he says, like, he was a good guy. Like, he helped us save and Nefaria. He stopped, helped stop this. And he's like, oh, I guess I'll question the captain when I get there, or the general.
Yeah.
And that's where we get this scene here. Cause he's like, hey, like, what's going on? And now he's not affected by Empath, at least not at this moment.
Right.
He's just genuinely like, okay, I'm doing what I'm told, but I do remember this guy saving us, Nightcrawler. Why are we doing this now? And then then we get to see the general kind of go off. And of course, I like where, the general and then also Nightcrawler. I like where Roulette is like, oh, he's a nice guy, when he's like, he's kind of begging, like, please don't hurt. And then he's like, well, he was nice. Empath's like, let me, turn up the heat on this one. And then, of course, seeing Nightcrawler go into this different, and again, this kind of leads to, like, what Nick was saying, like why didn't he just bamf out earlier? Because he certainly does now. Like, now he's, and again, I know it's mentally he's being pushed in that regard, but
maybe
it does make you question for a second. Wild stuff.
What's up, Brandon Metro in the chat? What's going on, sir? Nice icon there with Cyclops. It's looking good.
See,
this-
I don't mean to interrupt, and I don't want to ruin things for Justin if Justin hasn't read the future issues. But it's interesting to see certain dynamics with certain characters doing certain things
Very
now,
good.
as opposed to what goes on with them in the future.
Sure, as the abilities evolve and change, and
Right, or
for
as
sure.
a toll gets taken on them, it's interesting to see how they evolve or devolve in some cases.
Yeah, for sure. I also think it's interesting here, the thought bubbles we get from Firestar, where she's basically saying to herself, I don't know that my boyfriend said these were bad guys, but I don't really know, but I don't want to be alone anymore. And I really like my boyfriend. I was so annoyed by every thought bubble that Firestar had. I was like, if you really want to launch a new character to make me care about him, this might be a fail. This might be a fail. I don't know that I'm feeling the joy for Firestar like I did when I saw her on the animated show. Just going to say that. So moving along here, we get Warpath finding Empath, and that's a nice little rhyme there, and basically telling him, like, I told you, don't get involved. I don't want your help. This is ridiculous. You're messing with everything. And Kitty Pryde is like, you know what? I'm going to take this Empath guy out of the equation, and she pulls him through the floor and gives him to Wolverine, who Wolverine's like, look, punk, you play your little mind games around you. What? I'm going to cut you up into little pieces. And Empath faints, and he's done. Meanwhile, once that happens, Nightcrawler gets a little bit more control of himself. He grabs Roulette, and he's trying to get her away from all the guys who are now very mad that he was punching at them and everything. So he's got to try to escape with her and find safety. And amidst all of this, still Warpath trying to find his way to Professor Xavier. Kitty tries to catch him too, tries to stop him too, but it's getting a little bit challenging. And he is continuing to kind of be driven by the need to get Xavier if he can. Kitty is unable to accomplish that, and she drops back down to Wolverine, and Wolverine is basically saying, I can understand, I think, maybe what's going on here, but we've got to do our job first. And of course, they're found by robots. Mech suit sec bots. Lots of stuff going on here with Kitty Pryde, which I know we've all mentioned has a really great part going on here. Justin, this is pretty big stuff for her, where she's really the game changer for a lot of this.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, she just plays such a big role here, and again, just helping. She's like pulling people through the floor every time. It's a good strategy to kind of stay beneath, and just pop up wherever she needs to pull people down. Of course, it ends up not working down the road, but at least for this beginning, I like also we get 2 pages here, and it's Empath, it's Roulette, and they're both knocked out within seconds after all this havoc that they've kind of created throughout this whole issue. And it turns out they're just a couple of punk kids. Like, they're just like I love, like, Wolverine just scares the crap out of this kid.
Pop the claws and he's done.
Yeah, and to me, I'm like, okay, like that gave me more, because I wasn't quite sure how to take this guy. Like, I wasn't sure how in control he was, or like, and to see him faint like this, I was just like, okay, like, so he's just a kid. He's probably still to some degree learning. He's learning his abilities probably, and he's just having fun. Like, he's just a reckless kid. And I just love that it was Wolverine to kind of, knock him out without having to actually do anything.
Doesn't even really touch him.
Right. So I like that. And then of course, same thing with Roulette. Like, she's just like, she's this, tricky, given bad luck where she goes kind of thing, still trying to understand her abilities, but like, it's Nightcrawler essentially saving her, and in the process, his bamfing just knocks her out. Like, which happens, right? I mean, I know that
absolutely
not everybody can handle that, and I just love how simple these two got kind of laid out, even though they were very much a heavy part of this whole issue as far as the havoc that they've been causing. So
for sure,
cool way to kind of see them get knocked out. And one other thing at the very side panel there, love. The lighting up with a cigarette, like anytime, I always feel like they nail it with Wolvie there in the light
for sure. We'll say hello to Damien. I'm sorry, Sleepy Reader. What is going on, Damien? Good to see you, my friend.
What's up, Damien?
Wolverine gets some great moments here too, right, Nick? We get to see Wolverine be he's almost like de facto guiding the team in some ways.
Yeah, and he's not stepping on anybody's toes while he's doing that. This is one of those panels where he's popping the claws, but I do have an issue with his face, as you mentioned. Like, his eyes are a little off level there, but Yeah, I do like it. Like I said, when Wolvie has time to just light up a stove, things are coming to an end,
Yep.
and he feels things are in hand and everything's pretty well handled.
Yeah.
And we'll just get to the Scooby Doo at the end of the episode and find out who's doing what. And
Yeah.
just go home.
Jackson Roy Kirk is making enemies of Magic Lasso in the chat. Firestar better than Dazzler. I don't know that that's going to go well. Yeah, we get a moment here where now that Rachel's coming out of her stupor a little bit, Rogue is demanding, like, what's going on here? You got to tell me, or I'm just gonna put my hands on you next and get all my facts out of you. Yeah. Rachel still feels like I can't confess what I know or what I've been to these people. I'm worried about what that's all going to lead to. Nightcrawler still very much having his doubts about his leadership, feeling like this was a real failure and trying to just keep everybody safe and alive. So trying to put these pieces back together. Meanwhile, of course, there we go. Warpath has found Xavier and his target is now in his sights. Nick, for me, like, Rachel's this character who has a ton of great backstory, and it's a real slow bleed across these early issues with her. What are your thoughts here on this character and her journey?
Well, I mean, she has a right to feel that way. She's seen stuff. Issues 141 and 142 can only dream about. Right. Days of Future Past, and that's got to be daunting to overcome, to say the least.
Truly. Yeah.
So she sees these people who've taken her in, they care about her, they treat her as their own, and she doesn't want to see that fate come to them. I don't know if she's expressing it correctly, but I think she's expressing it the only way she knows how right now, and that's just to shut down and be like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
You guys find another way, and just not like this, not me, not now.
Sure. Justin, any thoughts here on the team and the real struggle that they're all sort of having to be at their best? Because everybody seems to be a bit of a shattered piece of themselves.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, it kind of worked out where Nightcrawler picks it back up a little bit, and while everyone else is kind of feeling down and like things are not looking great, and meanwhile before it was Nightcrawler who was very much beating himself up. I like the balance here where now Nightcrawler kind of comes in, obviously with Rachel plays obviously a big part of this, being willing to work alongside and not let Rogue touch her because she doesn't want to again let any secrets out on her path or what she used to do. So I like that they kind of team up. Nightcrawler's like, hey, you don't even have to like come with me, like I'll just show me where I need to bamf and I'll do it myself, and
right,
and she's willing to go with him, which to him was like, all right, like teamwork. I feel like that kind of boosted everything, and then that was where Rogue's like, all right, like we got the team back, she calls her Red, like Red's snapping out, we got her back, so right. I just thought this was kind of like a moment where things didn't look good for a minute, and then they all kind of got out of it thanks to one of the characters stepping up, and in this case it happened to be Nightcrawler, the one who's been beating himself up this entire time of leadership. So
for sure,
I think he made up for times in the past where he kind of froze up or wasn't sure what he was doing. So yeah, good to see it.
Bobby, I see what you're trying to do there. I see what you're trying, and you can't just.
Yeah, I'm just typing that out right now.
There it is. See, yeah. An hour 30 in, and still not the end of the issue. We're at Justin's channel. It's a double-sized issue. Ryan, park yourself. Just soak up the goodness here with me, man.
Almost done.
Don't be playing that game. But yeah, we're now at the big dramatic moment where Romita doesn't draw face as well. And we've got the big showdown where James is basically threatening Xavier. Xavier can't quite read his mind, but he's definitely good at reading his other, expressions and such, and tries to talk him down and ultimately succeeds by basically just offering himself up and saying, look, you should know me well enough by now to know I would have done anything for your brother to survive. And I couldn't stop him, and he was in complete control of himself, and I couldn't bring myself to do anything but apologize when I saw your family, and basically lays the power at James's feet, who ultimately crumbles, drops the blade, and calls himself a coward and says, like, I couldn't live up to what my brother would have wanted me to have done. And Rogue, of course, runs in quite too late, but ultimately what we're left with is a very shattered individual just expressing his grief, which has a lot of weight to it. And Nick, I'm curious your thoughts, obviously, on artwork, because man, those faces next to you kill me. But emotional, obviously, the emotional work here.
It's brutal looking at, either the length of his face, the size of his mask, what's going on, or how he's laughing. Again, for me, and I know it's a larger issue, but I would have liked to see some kind of flashback to see what kind of kid James was.
The brothers together, maybe.
Right. To see what's driving, his character here to act the way he is right now, and just flip-flopping back and forth. But it probably would have been a 64-page issue, and
yeah.
JP would have been screaming by then. So
we got Damian saying, "Ouch!" Those facial expressions. We got Jackson real quick saying, "JRJ is getting tired."
Long issue.
I never thought Dan Green was a good inker, and definitely not good for JRJR. So there you go. Some shots being fired, Justin. What are your feelings about the emotional ending here that we're getting?
Yeah, I mean, I like that it does take time to like break things down, and again, a lot of it more is James is just jumping to conclusions of, well, you're a telepath. You just made him want to join the X-Men. You just made him, go to his death and sacrifice himself and all this other stuff. And for Xavier to not just like correct him, but do it in a way that's like, listen, your brother knew exactly what he was signing up for, and he did it proudly, and he was brave in doing what he was doing, and you should honor and respect that. Like, that's something if you know him, which you know him, that he'd be willing to do this kind of stuff and sacrifice himself for what he did back in that issue. Like all that stuff, he really flipped it in a way where, I mean, clearly, made him open his mind about it.
Right.
And just have that respect for his own brother of like, yeah, you know what, he would do that kind of stuff. He is strong like that. So I like that it was done the way that it was. And again, to kind of close out this issue or this episode, to resolve the situation and without, too many people getting hurt, or in this case,
right.
dying here. So I like that it was flipped the way that it was. The artwork's a bit rough for sure. I agree. I do like the panel layouts of the hand coming up with the dagger. I read this digitally the first time through, and just kind of flipping through that, seeing the panel to panel feature, that was cool to see this like larger and then getting smaller and just focusing in on the hand
and the color going from red to that really pale yellow,
like an alarm.
The knife.
It was like anger down to like being calm, or that's kind of how I took it. So I thought that was cool. I also really like the Zelda shoes or Zelda boots that
Rogue's wearing.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's Link, but yeah, whatever.
Sorry, Link.
Zelda's the girl.
We go back to the mansion at the end, and everybody's just kind of recuperating and talking to FIRESTAR, really just talking to her, trying to get her to understand there's no hard feelings. If you ever want to have a home here, you're more than welcome. But it's almost impossible to convince any of these quote unquote villain characters, the antagonists for this book, to leave the Hellfire Club. They all still feel very resolute in wanting to be a part of what Emma Frost is working on right now, and they can't be convinced anything else. They're happy to see Lockheed return as well, but for the most part, it's just some general confusion about like, we're just going to let these guys go and hope that they change their ways. It's an unusual attitude that Xavier's got here, Nick, as far as just like, hey, they got a home here. We'll see.
So let me ask you, Johnny, and you're a dad to preteens, teens, right? So you think that the fact that Xavier got to Kitty a little earlier than Emma got to these students might have something to do with that? Like, Xavier would shape a younger girl who's not so angsty or angry at the world just yet, where Emma may feed into what these teenagers are feeling now. So maybe that's why they want to stay.
That's a great point. And I do think the group of people that were around Kitty had that impact too. I think you look at, obviously we've mentioned Wolverine's impact a bunch, but we haven't talked about Storm's impact that she had on Kitty all these years, and how maternal and supportive this whole group of people have been to Kitty. And that clearly, the nurture part of nature versus nurture has had an impact. Because obviously it wasn't her dad, because Carmine sucks.
Yeah, but that being said, I'm a New York guy, so I'm opposed to anybody going to Massachusetts, Boston, or any of that area. So f those hellions.
Oh, it's hilarious. How are Nick's doing?
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Not saying that I'm superstitious, but we're gonna have to have another show on Thursday when the Knicks play, because they won by 30. They won by 30.
Yeah, I think I'm available, so we'll figure something out. So, Justin, what were your thoughts on how this kind of wraps up and letting these villains go?
I have mixed feelings, man. I first of all, I really thought at least we'd get one of the characters just be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna join you guys. I'm gonna be one with the team here, and I'm like thinking in my head, like, great, we're gonna get at least one, maybe two, maybe all of them stay, and moving forward into what we go into reading next. But unfortunately, it's not the case. They all decide to go back. The thing also that kind of was that I was questioning was knowing all the trickery that Empath and Roulette got into, just like their childness and their immaturity and just recklessness. I don't know. I feel like there should have been either a bit more of a, I guess, even a talking to or
consequence.
Yeah, something like they're just like, all right, we're gonna let you back out, but don't do that again. I mean, maybe for Empath it was enough for Wolverine to just scare the crap out of him. Maybe that did it, but as a whole, I get there are a couple of kids or whatever. I don't know. I just thought there'd be something a little more to it than them being like, all right, well, that was fun. Like,
somebody's got to pay for all the broken robots and poison gas, right?
Yeah, right.
For sure.
That's just expensive.
It's gonna hurt the sales in that gift shop too.
Yeah. And then even like the thing with Firestar, like just concerned that his Empath gonna just keep doing what he's doing to her, and pulling strings or whatever,
right.
or is she
gotta go back to my boyfriend.
Yeah, like man, just get with it, man. He's using abilities on you. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, kind of. I was hoping to at least get a new character to stay, but
yeah. And that takes us to the epilogue where we get back to the Rodriguez family. Jaime now has apparently taken Nimrod in as his new house guest and given him complete access to the internet, which is obviously a phenomenal decision.
He's Tim 21,
Yeah, it's like, I trust this horrible hating pink robot to be taking care of my family. This is a great idea. While we see Nimrod trying to figure out, okay, what timeline am I in? How far back have I traveled? What are my mission parameters now? And he sees on the news mutants attacking a military facility, and he's like, oh, okay, good. I am supposed to kill mutants here. This makes total sense now. And he starts off on his plan to destroy mutants. So we get a wonderful setup for the future of Nimrod in these kind of stories. Justin, how are you feeling about seeing Nimrod's new look too? He's getting a little more human-y.
Yeah, definitely freaky, for sure. I wouldn't want that near my kids, that's for sure. Yeah, it's great to see Jaime. I'm like, all right, like we're keeping up with this character. I was wondering, I thought they wrote him off. I thought I was like, man, we had all this buildup with Jaime, and then
they just wrote the necklace off,
and then the necklace, right, which I'm good with. I want to see more of what this guy, kind of gets into. And their argument on this page was pretty interesting, right? Between him and his, was it his uncle or his I don't know, his brother.
Somebody.
And just, his brother just kind of writing things off as like, yeah, mutants are all, they're all this, they're all that, they're all dangerous, and we got to stop them. And Jaime makes some really good points as to why, just like in real life, and how we compare races and what we believe in and everything else, and you can't just judge one large group based on something that other people are acting as. So I like that they had that conversation in a book like this, and especially a book, for kids and written at that time. So I like that they highlight that. But then on the flip side, it is weird because he has the robot. I guess he just doesn't fully know his plans or what he's doing. But
But you can stay at my house.
But yeah, but he like I don't know, is Jaime just being too nice, too, I don't know.
I can't imagine inviting the Terminator into my house to just like crash.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
and it was cool to see the fingers like going into the keyboard and stuff like that. I like that they showed a little bit of that.
Yep.
And what was the other thing? And then the mention of Juggernaut and that him kind of getting first on his list now. It makes me interested, to see where this goes
for next issue, right?
Yeah.
Nimrod stopped me from unleashing Kulangath. Oh wait, I don't remember that.
yeah.
Wipe that. Dr. Strange wipes all that out. There's no memory anymore. So Nick, we're getting our second appearance of Nimrod now. The Nimrod's new form. Any thoughts on Nimrod? Any thoughts on Jaime Rodriguez here?
Yeah, I'm all for letting somebody stay at the house when they help my family or they're really nice, but I kind of draw the line to a guy who's got no pupils and a really big widow's peak like that.
Fair.
Fair. I want to go back though and point out something Bobby made a point of. You go back to that. To me, the glaring omission in this panels is the interaction that should have been here between Banshee and Warpath. There should have been
me in the face at the beginning.
Right. There should have been there should have been an apology somewhere here or some kind of amends making that, and I think they really dropped the ball here in regards to that point.
Great point. All right, so that wraps it all up here, folks. Let's get into final thoughts, score for the issue, how you would grade this on your scale here, Justin. Let's hear from you, man.
Yeah, man. This is all around epicness as far as how the story went. I think there's a lot of moving pieces, but it moves along nicely. There's nothing to me that felt too forced or too, squeezed into one, episode kind of thing. We get a lot of different, standpoints of where people are, where each of these characters are mentally, the struggles that a lot of them have, and seeing stuff like that to me really bumps the grade up for how I and take in these books. I think the one weaker side of it was some of the artwork that we had pointed out, just the lack of consistency. And that really is what we've been seeing throughout these last, handful of books, really since JRJR has jumped on. There's some really great parts, and then there's some really not so great parts. So I guess I'm kind of getting used to that, but it still doesn't make it okay overall. And then just some really memorable and strange moments like, Professor X being dressed the way he is. We get to see scenes with Callisto involved. I like that there was a lot of different characters included in this. We still get a little sprinkle of Storm, knowing where everybody is. With all that said, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a 9.0 for my grade for this. I think this is a book that I'll go back to again. And, again, we get some really cool new characters that I'm still very intrigued to learn more about. I don't know much about Roulette. It seems like, I don't know if she pans out to be.
I don't know that I've seen her in hardly any other issues, so my knowledge of Roulette is very limited.
Man, Hickman didn't take advantage of that. Damn. Could have been an opportunity.
She got her solo series.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick? What are your thoughts? Obviously, it's hard to take off the nostalgia goggles when we do these things, but that's kind of the fun of reading these again, right?
Absolutely. For me, and I think it's been almost 40 years since I first read this issue.
Wow.
And to me, there are still things that thrill me in this issue that have been consistent over 4 decades. There's a little bit of ridiculous stuff like the artwork, some of the technology that they had ready was really unbelievable to me. The outfits are just hilarious to me back then. But like I said, I was a kid in the 80s. And one of my prized possessions now is a red leather jacket with a lot of zippers to it.
Yeah.
So I love this. And I have, like I said, this one has always been a 9.
It is.
Not perfect. It's
a beauty.
Damn near close. And we didn't, for me, the nostalgia part was to talk about the ads within. Because I really love the ads too. So.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
This whole experience, just talking about this with you guys, has been one of the highlights of my comic book career. I really appreciate you guys.
Oh, thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was great to talk X-Men with people who are like, yo, did you watch X-Men 97? I'm like, I didn't, but I read the comics, so I see what you're getting at. Like, did you see they pulled the adamantium out of Wolverine? Yeah, I know. I saw that 30 years ago. Yeah, it's cool. It was cool then, but
It was cool then too. Yeah.
So
if you were going to give this as a CGC grade, this issue, what would you give it?
9.8.
You got the 9.8 right there.
9.8 easy. 9.8. It's
Nice.
really tough. It's really
Easy.
tough to give it a
Love
9, 9, 10, but this
Love
is one of the 9.8s I've had to have in my collection before talking about with you guys. So easy grade.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I'm probably in the 8.5 range because the roller coaster of emotions on this. Sometimes I'm high on it, sometimes I'm low on it. The cover still gives me major nostalgia feels, and man, that kick to the jaw, that knee to the jaw, easily one of my favorite fight sequences with Logan. So absolutely love that sequence. But let's see the chat. There's some great comments. Firstly, hey Gore, thanks for the nice compliment, and happy to see you in the chat, my friend.
Good to see you.
Bobby says first Mahomes sidearm special 9.6.
Nice 9.6.
There it is. Let's see here. Jackson Warkirk says story 7.0. Come on, Rachel passes out. Art 6.0. Chet says 9.0 still turned off by the art. Otherwise, it'd be a 9.2.
Oh, all right.
Let's see here. Anybody else got their numbers? Don't want to miss anybody. Let's see here. Are we doing all right? I got everybody. All right. Did I miss Callie? It's too late. You can't have it. Never. He's not giving it away. All right. I appreciate you, sir. Let's get into the numbers a little bit for the issue for those that want to know. There is 199 on the census. I got a 398 last sold, but that was in 2019 for anybody that wants to know. A 9.8 runs at fair market about $85 these days. There are 654 of them. There are 352 of the 9.6s, and there's about $60. Obviously, this is the first in continuity appearance of Firestar, but she'd been in a Spider-Man and Amazing Friends animated series and comics. So if you find any of those books, those will be earlier than this, but not in continuity. And for anybody that wants more Warpath, James Proudstar, I think it's issue 16 of New Mutants and issue 17 are the first two appearances for that character. But there you go. That's the slideshow, folks. That is the kit and caboodle of issue 193. But don't leave. We got to finish with some trivia. We're going to ask you some questions about last week's issue and last week's episode over on Justin's channel. And this is where Nick gets to give away some points to you all in the chat. So we're looking for 2 correct answers to the trivia question. The first 2 correct answers will get on the giveaway wheel, but then whoever can entertain Nick with their answer the most, you can also get an entry on the raffle wheel. So make Nick laugh, entertain Nick, and you get a shot at getting some giveaway items because the giveaway show is just a few weeks away. That's right. So Justin, you want to kick us off with your first question?
Yeah, let's do it. Nick, you got all the power here, man. Get ready. Let's see.
You see what my microphone is, right? So
I love it. One snap, all right, my first question, and again, this is for last issue or in last episode. What did Kurt do to Rogue to try to to try to get her to use the 7th sense? What was it that Kurt or Nightcrawler did to Rogue to try to get her to use her 7th sense?
Yeah, this is the ability that they mentioned that Captain Marvel had, or that Carol Danvers had, Ms. Marvel back then, and that maybe is lying dormant right inside of Rogue.
Yeah, he tries to do something to trigger that effect.
First 2 answers already got it in the chat, I think.
The 2 I got are Chet and Bobby. That's right.
Yep.
He tickled her.
Gave her the tickle.
Mm-hmm.
Not always the best move. She might pee her pants. You gotta watch out.
She did warn him. She did say stop, and then she did say stop. She
laid him out. But Callie says no. He taught her his secret handshake. That's the special move there.
Like it. Yeah.
Magic Lasso says spanked her 3 times and called her mommy.
Chet's comment.
He motorboats. He motorboats her. I think he meant he and B, but I get it.
All right, I think I got to give Chet a point for that one. That's a good one.
There it is. Nobody else gets the answer, but we do have making sandwiches. He had to say stop In the name of love.
Right.
All right, so Chet gets another point for comedy answer. I don't remember the last time Chet got a comedy answer point, but I'm very excited about that.
It's and the spelling error too. Whew.
Yeah, it's throw in the spelling error.
Nick, just so you know, we're very hard on Chet. He has to spell
Chet,
things right.
Chet has more entries than anybody, so if he misspells stuff, we can just throw it out. It doesn't count.
Yeah. We have an ongoing joke of Rachel Dinners because of a typo of his.
Because he mistyped Rachel Summers, and now it's forever Rachel.
Now it's a character. Yeah.
I think every group has one of those. Shout out to Legion of Comics.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Okay, so my question is, what does Colossus drop on Warlock's dad to try to stop him? In the battle with Warlock's dad in the house, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Colossus drops something on him. What is he dropping?
Man, a lot of opportunities here.
I forgot Warlock's dad's name. I totally bailed on it. It's not in my head anymore.
Magus.
Magus, there it is.
Yeah.
Totally forgot that. He said he did a tap routine. That was the answer to the last question.
Nice, Damien.
He says you dropped a truck on him. Just
oof.
Hard. Dropped a truck right on him. He dropped a beat that you can dance to. That's what he dropped. He dropped a solid beat.
Like that, right?
Dropped a manhole cover.
We did talk about a manhole cover, but
we did, but that's not what he dropped. He dropped a guilt trip. Dropped a major guilt trip. You're a bad dad.
I like that, Bobby.
That's what he dropped.
Barbarian Kung Fu. That's a good one.
Dropped the mic on him. Dropped more truth than he can handle. Chad in the chat says he dropped a deuce on him. Did a deuce on him. We already had a teabag joke at the beginning of this episode.
Now we did.
Full circle now. If you guys aren't following Chad, he does some really great trivia and dollar sale books on his YouTube channel and Instagram. I was just in his show last night. It was hilarious. It was a lot of fun. Really well run.
A good dude.
Auction if you want to get some great books. Steals. Yep. But the correct answer is a chimney. Yeah, he did drop a chimney, and you guys actually spelled chimney correct, which is not easy.
Wow, Chet.
Yeah, I got Chet and I got Jackson Roy Kirk. So there you go, gentlemen. So who we giving the comedy answer to? What did we like? Was it Barbarian?
Yeah, that's I always fall to the basest humor, and I think that's that's a good one there. Well, and it's a callback to earlier. Yeah,
I love it because Chad, this is his first raffle entry for the year. So at the wire, he now has an entry into our giveaway, and fingers crossed you win something, Chad.
Awesome. All it takes is one. We saw that happen with the boy who had 7.
The boy who had 7 won the slab that we gave away the first season, and you got
all he had was one
raffle
name
figure. That was
That's
it.
Right.
All right, Justin, second question from you, good sir.
All right. My second question is, what did Ileana Rasputin have in her bag at the airport? Think back to when they were visiting to go pick up Wolverine and Kitty Pryde from the airport. Ileana was there with the rest of them, and she had something in her bag.
What was it that she had? A lot of ways.
I'm
expecting some answers I may not be able to
Keep it PG.
That's my concern. But we got the first 2 correct. Chet.
Yes, that's right.
And
he is.
And we got our man, Magic Lasso Ryan.
Very nice. Yeah, Lockheed. He was kind of curled up. He, she wasn't supposed to have him, but she snuck him in anyways because she knew how much Kitty Pryde would appreciate it. So that is correct. Lockheed was there.
Matching stripper thong and bra. There you go.
I mean,
a controlled substance. We won't go into specifics, but yeah. It can't be mentioned on a channel called John's Comics with Kids. It's all right, they're teens now. I mean, they've seen all the Austin Powers and everything.
A mother's lightsaber. Yep, I agree.
Easy glide from limbo. The skulls of her enemies.
I mean, Ileana has that dark side for sure.
She does. Some of those Russian nesting dolls.
Oh,
I mean, it fit. She's Russian.
Yep.
Let's see. We got any more? A Steely Dan CD.
That's just really reeling in those years. Reeling in the years.
Right.
A Susan Summers Thigh Master. And vodka. Anything that we liked in there, Nick?
The Thigh Master, I'm kind of remembering back to those commercials, so I think Lasso has on something there.
Right.
There it is, Ryan. Getting another raffle ticket, man. All right, last question of the night. Okay. how does Rogue change from the beginning of the story to the end? She's pretty different at the end. What has happened to Rogue?
I have to remember your.
Justin even made a comment about like they don't even really tell us like.
Oh yeah.
They don't even resolve it.
That's
they
right.
just leave it. They leave it open-ended.
That's right. They do. Yeah, this was good.
And Ryan very nicely says, Vansk. Vansk.
You're talking about the vodka.
Vansk, very much. Yeah. How is Rogue different at the end of the issue?
Everyone's pulling out their issue.
Her accent is British, which sugar does not sound as nice in a British accent as it does in that Southern accent. It's just straight up
sugar.
No comparison. Everybody's like, I don't even remember what happened.
Yeah, everyone's taking their book out right now. They're flipping
like,
back.
What happened? Yeah. She's just she's matured. She's grown as a person. Just that maturity. No, she got a new stripe. Yeah, now she's got like one on this side and one on that side.
Double stripe. Yep.
She decided that she's into Cajuns.
With back tattoos, tramp stamps.
There it is. When you gotta type, you gotta type. Some people just can't break free, you know. Oh,
tricky one here. Tricky one here.
The white stripe. She becomes a Chiefs fan. You know the rule, folks. You can copy and paste Chet.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is a correct answer out there. All you got to do is copy and paste.
She's basically melded with Magus at this point. She absorbed Warlock's dad, which sounds way dirtier than it actually is. It's not anything like that. So we'll see who can get an answer in there correctly. There it is. Callie with the copy and paste.
Yeah.
You got it in.
Very
Well
nice.
done, sir. John with his 10th raffle ticket entry.
Hashtag thanks, Chet.
He even got 10 to thank you. All right, Nick, any of those that you thought was good? Anything else we should reward?
I kind of want to go with Bobby that time because I think his team plays your team week 1, Justin, doesn't he?
Oh, I heard Thursday, right? The
Yeah.
first Thursday? Yeah, that's going to be a wild one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give it to my man, Bobby G, one of my favorite people in the community.
Nice.
He is awesome, man.
Good stuff.
And when he sent that video to Justin and I was like, this is freaking amazing.
Yeah,
I'm going
it's
to
great
use this
intro.
one. So
Great intro.
huge shout out to you, sir.
Yeah, man.
Well, I thought I had like 3 max. John, you're at number 10, sir.
Double digits.
Zane. All right, so thanks everybody in the chat. Huge thank you to you all for coming by and for hanging out with us for 2 hours. Double episode tonight. Yeah. But obviously, all the thanks goes to my man Nick here. Worth the wait,
Appreciate
man.
it,
Worth the wait. Hanging out with you, sir. As always, a whole lot of fun.
It's a blast.
Congrats to your Knicks. Knicks.
One more game to go.
And as I mentioned, there are 2 Instagrams down below for Nick. You want to make sure you do both of them because he drops some great books for some great deals. And then, of course, his YouTube channel is linked down below as well. You can also catch him on DJ Links on Friday nights doing that in the mix.
Nice.
That's where you can get your Nick in the mix. So make sure you're completely following all those folks.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Next week, we're on Justin's channel. We're doing annual number 8. So we're back in the annual game here. We'll see what's going on with our characters outside the main story.
That's right.
So thanks everybody for coming by, and we'll see you all again in a week.
Let's go.